Well, that was fast. If you guys haven't heard, the CFPB is about to get decapitated. This is not necessarily a bad thing. If you were a part of the last Zoom meeting, we briefly talked about the CFPB and utilizing it as a tool. I'm very happy that I had the Zoom meeting before all of this came out about waste, fraud, and abuse, something that I've been yelling about for some time now. Even though agencies like the CFPB does not really provide us with remedy, we are going to the CFPB, or not going, but we were going to the CFPB before it got decapitated, but we were going to use the CFPB as a tool. Now, in the last Zoom meeting I had, I stated plainly to everyone that attended the Zoom meeting that we are not the consumers. Now, I knew that in making that statement, it would cause so much confusion because most people believe that they are customers and consumers, but that is not true. I'm going to disclose to you the tactic that I was aiming for in using the CFPB before it got decapitated. Okay, so in the Zoom meeting, we were talking about utilities, okay, and filing complaints with either the PUC, that's the PUC in your state, which is a consumer protection agency, or filing a complaint with the CFPB. Now, once you file a complaint with the CFPB and you list what your grievances are and you submit a complaint to the CFPB goes through this process where they send your complaint to the company. Now, the company will respond to the CFPB by doing a bunch of things that I identify as a data breach and identity theft. We don't want to state that up front, but we want to allow this process and procedure to take its course. At the conclusion of the investigation, you will soon learn who the consumer was. The consumer was the entity that was protected. What better way to teach that to you than to allow you to go through that process? So, in most cases, it would be the utility company or the credit card company or the mortgage company that would receive protection from the CFPB because that's the consumer. Once the investigation is concluded, we want to send a FOIA request to the CFPB and we want to know exactly what information was shared to you by the utility company. We want this information because we are tying together the fact that this is identity theft, this is a data breach. Usually, if you've ever gone through a process with the CFPB or maybe the Attorney General's office, they will release information in the report regarding your account. You have to pay close attention to these processes and really think it through because you want to use this information to your benefit. Our government agencies are entrenched, okay, with special interests. There are not many avenues available, with the exception of filing lawsuits, which most people are not comfortable doing. They don't have enough experience doing it. So we're going to utilize the tools that we have, but we must approach it with a sort of manipulation, I guess, so to speak. We want to manipulate this situation to our benefit. So the CFPB concludes their report and then they list all the information regarding your account, and the consumer just released this information to the CFPB, which was the whole reason you filed the report to begin with. So once you send that FOIA request, keep in mind that the FOIA request has loopholes. Hmm. So, some of these agencies are not required to release certain information in a FOIA request, such as trade secrets, quote unquote. Well, if these agencies are about transparency, and I am approaching the CFPB with concerns about data breaches, identity theft, okay, breach of fiduciary duty, if these are my concerns and I submit a FOIA request to you and you intentionally withhold information from me, it is reasonable to conclude because that information would support the grievance. It also concludes that the agency is trying to protect its own interest. You want to use this to your advantage. The CFPB, their oversight is conducted by the Federal Reserve. Also, in the report that was released about the CFPB is holding $711 million worth of funds. The corporation is holding that amount of money, and at the end of the year, they're just going to claim it as abandoned funds and disperse it to Elizabeth Warren and all her friends, the owners of the corporation. But how do they get that federal funding? When we file complaints with the CFPB, not only are we entering our personal identifying information, we are also entering values, numbers. You have to keep in mind that even when you are using software, not software, but platforms like the CFPB, and they're asking you to enter values or numbers, that document itself can be monetized. It can be exchanged at the Federal Reserve for cash. So, for example, my house was 400 grand. If I filed a report with the CFPB and the CFPB says, hey, how much did the mortgage company get you for? I say 400 grand. Okay, so now the CFPB, okay, can go and utilize that instrument, exchange it with the Federal Reserve for 400,000 in cash value. The funds should be used to pay the creditor that they're misidentifying as a consumer. That would be you, the person that I'm speaking to now. So, if you filed a complaint with the CFPB, I'm not too sure you're going to get a response back at this point. It's like a headless horseman, okay? It you can go to the website, but I don't think it will function, like anything will happen. So as of now, I will go back into the Google Drive and I'll resend CFPB documents, and I'll change them to the agency that would oversee that particular agency. So for example, if if there's a document in the Dropbox, right, that is to file a complaint with the CFPB, the entity that supervises the CFPB is the Federal Reserve. If you've gotten a response back from the CFPB, that is perfect. You want to keep that as evidence to support exactly what it is that you're saying, okay? That this is identity theft, this is waste, it is fraud, it is abuse. You have this website here, this platform, and you market this platform as a protection agency for consumers. You give an ambiguous definition of what a consumer is, okay? And then you allow the public at large. We're not the public, really, we're the private, okay? But you allow federal funds. I'm going to start referring to you guys as federal funds, okay? So that you can understand. You are federal funds, okay? So that you can trick federal funding, which would be you, into pledging money to this agency and not give anything in return and not Be fair. Waste, fraud, and abuse. Waste, fraud, and abuse. The agency protected the consumer. That's right, they did. That's why they're called the Consumer Protection Agency. You sure did protect the consumer at my expense, the consumer who is using my identity. The entity that supervises the CFPB again would be the Federal Reserve, so it's the Inspector General at the Federal Reserve. I'm going to update the templates to the Inspector Generals to include a freeze on a corporation's Federal Reserve bank account. This means that that bank account, because of the type of allegations that we're bringing against this corporation for identity theft, that this Federal Reserve bank account is aiding and abetting it by accepting collateral that belongs to someone else. I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about an individual that I'm helping. I won't disclose their identity. I'm just going to talk about their situation. An individual that I'm assisting had 20 grand snatched out of their personal bank account. This money was snatched out of their bank account by child support. Mind you, the child lives with my client. The child support division sent a electronic communications to my client's bank instructing them to withhold $20,000 for arrears in child support. The person that signed this order is not a judge. Either way, my client's bank is upholding the hold of $20,000 from my client's account. So we have a couple of players here. We have the Attorney General's office, which oversees the child support division, and then we have the bank. The bank is stating that they're going to honor um, this request that was sent from the child support division. Immediately, I'm concerned. I'm concerned because my client has not given any power of attorney for the bank to act in this manner on behalf of my client's account, nor did my client give power of attorney to child support division to withdraw funds anytime they felt like it from my client's account. So no power of attorney exists. My client is unaware that public servants cannot just willy-nilly access personal accounts. It does not matter if the balance is outstanding, they're not there to access these accounts except if they are prompted by the duly authorized representative of that account. But we know that these public servants do this all the time. IRS does it. They can just access your account. They can just access your information whenever they feel like it. They do not have or ask permission. They don't get power of attorneys or consent. They just do it. When a public servant or individual makes a decision to do something like that, they are now separate from the entity that they work for. They have exposed themselves to personal liability when they do things like this. So, what I did on behalf of the client was I created an identity theft report, and I'm about to leak like my top tool. I'm about to leak it to y'all, but I'm gonna tell you what we did. We conducted a background check into the name of the employee that placed the hold or lien or levy, whichever you want to use, against my client's account. We have identified this person. We know where this person lives. We know their name, their date of birth. We know about their personal accounts. So, what we have done is we filed a police report. of identity theft and wire fraud. Guess what happened to the hold on my client's account? Okay, guys, this was fun. I just wanted to touch bases with you. I have not abandoned you. I have not left you. Or the Dropbox, I have to add you manually. I am sorry. If I do miss you or I don't get to you timely because maybe you've gone to another location or maybe I just didn't get a notification that you left me a message or your email got caught in the sea of emails that I have over on the KW estate. I do apologize to you. Go ahead and stop the subscription. And you can even, if you can't, many to process, it is too many. So what I suggest that you guys do if you were paying for it, please do not let a subscription go for months before you stop it. If you can't get in touch with me, go ahead, turn off that subscription, and you challenge those charges with your bank, and your bank will go ahead and refund the money. I think I'll get a notification like from Gumroad, and I won't challenge it. I do apologize to you guys. It was fun talking to you as always. Okay, bye.